I want you to think about a specific moment. You've been stuck all day on some problem.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of just hitting a wall, it's incredibly frustrating.
Exactly. It could be a design issue,
Yeah.
a complex strategy at work, or even just, how to organize a family event.
Yeah. Kind of thing you just can't shake.
Right. You go to sleep totally stumped, and then you wake up, and the solution is just there.
It feels almost magical, doesn't it? Like it came from nowhere.
It really does. But the source material for this deep dive excerpts from the Nocturnal Laboratory, well, it confirms this isn't magic. It's a highly organized cognitive function.
A predictable process, really.
So our mission today is to cut through that unconscious fog. We're going to analyze the neuroscience of how dreams help us solve these complex problems.
Right. How we access information we didn't even know we had.
We're going deep into leveraging your own unconscious mind for creative insight.
It's a fantastic topic. We're really just examining the brain's natural architecture for, well, for generative problem solving.
Demystifying it.
Exactly. We want to give you a functional understanding of the crucial and very distinct roles of non-REM and REM sleep. By the end, you should see your sleep not as downtime, but as a fully optimized cognitive laboratory.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What allows the brain to suddenly become this radical problem solver the moment we fall asleep?
Yeah.
It has to start with structure, right?
It does. It has to start with organizing the raw data we take in all day.
A filing system.
Precisely. Before the brain can get creative, it has to file everything away efficiently.
Right.
And that's the job of non-REM, or slow-wave sleep. Think of NREM as the nightly system maintenance for memory consolidation.
So it's not just saving the file, it's also indexing it, cross-referencing it.
That's a perfect way to put it. The sources detail how this involves rhythmic brain activity, specifically these bursts called sleep spindles.
Sleep spindles. Oh.
And these act like a kind of handshake between the hippocampus, which is the temporary holding area for new memories, and the cortex, which is long-term storage.
So it's moving data from the inbox to the permanent archive.
Exactly. NREM is stabilizing what you learn, making sure it sticks and is properly indexed for later.
Okay, so NREM is the highly efficient librarian. But where does the chaos, the creativity come in?
That's when the librarian steps out and the inventor takes over. We shift into REM sleep rapid eye movement.
The vivid dreaming stage.
Right, and that's where the real problem solving takes flight. The key here is what's happening with the prefrontal cortex, the PFC.
And the PFC is our logical, linear, critical thinking center, the conscious sensor, basically.
And during REM, that powerful filter is significantly quiet. It's turned way down.
What causes that?
It's linked to shifts in neuromodulators, specifically a reduction in chemicals like serotonin and acetylcholine, which suppresses the PFC's logical demands.
That makes perfect sense. If the logical filter goes quiet, the mind can wander.
It doesn't just wander, it runs wild. You have this quiet PFC, but at the same time, the associative areas of your brain, the temporal and parietal lobes, are firing off like crazy.
So the editor is gone, but the creative team is working overtime.
You got it. This setup reduces the self-censorship that limits your waking thoughts. It allows for free association between memories and ideas that seem completely unrelated when you're awake.
It's the ultimate cognitive sandbox.
Exactly. The rules of reality are temporarily suspended.
So we're skipping logic and running these massive permutation tests. Is there a term researchers use for that kind of mental leap?
There is. It's called hyper-associative thinking. Dreams let the mind grab fragments of memory, emotion, experience, all the things filed during NREM, and recombine them in brand new ways.
Bypassing the logical constraints that kept you stuck during the day?
Precisely.
That's fascinating. So if the structure is set up for radical testing, what about the neurochemistry? Is the brain chemically optimized to make these strange jumps feel correct?
Absolutely. The chemical environment in NREM is specifically tuned for this. It's really a two-part equation.
Okay, give us the ingredients.
First, you have higher dopamine levels. Dopamine is crucial for reward-based associative learning.
So when the brain makes a weird connection, it gets a little reward for it.
Yes, exactly. It provides a feeling of inherent rightness. It encourages the brain to synthesize these novel, often strange concepts and actually stick with them for a moment.
So the brain is rewarding itself for being illogical.
In a way, yes. It confirms the usefulness of a new pattern without needing any external validation. Then the second part is the inhibitor stepping down.
Which is?
Noradrenaline. Its levels drop drastically. Noradrenaline is associated with stress, focus, risk aversion.
The voice that says, this idea is stupid, discard it.
That's the one. And when those levels drop, inhibition and fear are reduced. This is crucial for allowing truly out-of-the-box ideas to surface without you immediately dismissing them.
So if the chemistry creates this state for testing novel ideas free from normal constraints, how do we distinguish between a useful pattern and just the normal randomness of a dream?
Well, that's the beauty of the system. While, yes, a lot of dreams are just noise, the ones that lead to solutions are often where the brain connects the problem you were focused on before sleep with some obscure but relevant piece of memory.
And the evidence for this is huge, right? It's always defined by some bizarre but useful metaphor.
It is. We have to talk about Kekulé and the benzene structure. It's the classic example.
Right, the snake.
Exactly. Auguste Kekulé was agonizing over how the 6 carbon atoms of benzene connected. He dreamt of a snake biting its own tail, the Ouroboros symbol.
A visual metaphor for a closed loop.
And that directly inspired the insight that benzene was a cyclic ring structure. The solution came not from chemistry equations, but from an unrelated ancient symbol,
And what about Einstein? He dreamt of sledding down a hill at great speed.
which helped him conceptualize how the perception of speed and motion is relative. The subjective feeling connected to the complex physics, feeding right into his work on relativity.
And for something more mechanical, there's Elias Howe and the sewing machine.
A great one. He was stuck on the needle design, thinking the eye had to be at the base. He dreamt of being captured by warriors with spears, and he noticed the hole was near the tip of the spear.
And that dream provided the crucial design change. Move the eye to the tip.
These are all pure hyperassociation, merging an external problem with a completely unrelated visual concept that bypasses the logical rut you were stuck in.
Okay, let's pivot now to the second major function of sleep our sources detail. It's arguably even more powerful. Accessing information the conscious mind actively overlooked.
Or dismissed entirely.
Right. While we're awake, our attention is so selective, so goal-oriented. Our brain gets this fire hose of sensory input, but the conscious mind only lets a fraction through.
And the rest gets shunted into unconscious memory systems, basically labeled low-priority data.
But that low-priority data is the real treasure vault, isn't it?
It is. When we sleep, the brain starts this systematic reevaluation. The PFC's goal-oriented focus is gone, so the brain is free to look at weakly encoded peripheral information and test it for hidden patterns.
Patterns the waking mind with its selective attention would never have bothered with.
Exactly. So if you were focused on a spreadsheet all day, your brain might have ignored the faint music in the background, a snippet of news, a weird color in a footnote.
But those elements are still logged somewhere.
They are. And in the dream state, those elements can suddenly gain relevance. Think of images you noticed peripherally, facts you dismissed as noise, or subtle emotional cues you downplayed. The sleeping brain is free to merge all of it.
This directly explains why these solutions feel so unorthodox. They didn't use the A-list information, they used the B-list, the stuff we previously ignored.
Precisely. And the quintessential example here is Dmitry Mendeleev and the periodic table.
Of course. He was consumed with organizing the elements. He had all the data, but his conscious logic was completely stuck.
But then he saw the structure in a dream, all the elements just falling into place. His sleeping mind was able to combine these disregarded details about atomic weights and valences into one coherent pattern.
It connected elements in ways he hadn't consciously realized because his goal-oriented mind had deemed certain groupings non-priority.
The dream reevaluated everything.
There are even modern studies on this. I read one where subjects played a computer game with a hidden, complex rule structure. The subjects who slept after playing were 3 times more likely to figure out the hidden rule than those who stayed awake.
Because their sleeping brains processed all the peripheral cues and patterns they weren't consciously tracking while playing, it's the ultimate proof that your brain is always working. It just changes its definition of work when you close your eyes.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, trying to actively leverage this nocturnal laboratory? We need to talk about actionable strategies.
The primary takeaway is that you can influence what your dream lab works on. This is where active problem priming comes in.
And priming isn't just stressing about the problem before bed.
No, absolutely not. That's counterproductive. Instead, the night before, consciously frame the problem as a question. Maybe even write down the conflicts or the assumptions you need to discard.
So you're feeding the algorithm the right target data just before you drift off.
That's the idea. And focusing on the conflicts, not just the answer, seems to be key.
Beyond priming, the quality and duration of your sleep are obviously critical.
Right. We know REM is where the hyper-associative thinking happens. And crucially, REM cycles get longer in the second half of the night.
So if you're regularly shortchanging your sleep, cutting it to 5 or 6 hours,
You are literally bypassing the most powerful creative processing phases your brain has. Sleep hygiene isn't just about feeling rested, it's about optimizing your creativity window.
and maybe the most vital practical step here is dream journaling.
Absolutely essential. Because these hyperassociative solutions were built without logic, they are extremely fragile.
Is should evaporate.
Instantly.
Hmm.
Once your logical PFC comes back online, those insights, the visual metaphors, the strange connections, they can vanish within seconds.
You have to capture it before your conscious sensor can dismiss it all as nonsense.
Exactly. Don't worry about interpreting the dream right away. Just record the images, the actions, and especially the feelings or the sense of certainty you wake up with. That's the raw data. If you don't write it down immediately, all that amazing nocturnal cognitive work just goes to waste.
This has been a fascinating deep dive into the nocturnal laboratory. It really confirms that dreams are the brain's internal lab, processing weak signals and disregarded info to produce useful, unorthodox insights.
Understanding the mechanics and REM filing and REM hyperassociation is the shortcut to leveraging it effectively.
Well, thank you for providing the source material for this truly incredible exploration of the science behind our own creative insight.
My pleasure. And as you think about how to apply this, here's a final provocative thought for you to consider.
Let's hear it.
If your waking mind is so efficient at filtering and dismissing things, labeling facts as irrelevant or illogical, what foundational assumptions in your own life might you be overlooking simply because your conscious logic deems them too weird or non-priority? Perhaps the next great breakthrough you need is already stored in your implicit memory, just waiting for the night shift to put it all together.